Shohei Ohtani just did something after his latest home run that nobody in the stadium could have ever predicted. What happened on that field moments after the ball disappeared into the stands left the entire baseball world completely speechless. The Colorado Rockies had come into this game with a very specific plan to neutralize Ohtani, and their coaching staff had made it very clear before the game that they believed they had found a way to slow down the Japanese superstar. But what Ohtani did immediately after launching that home run into the night sky was so unexpected, so completely out of character with what anyone had anticipated, that the Rockies coaching staff was left standing in stunned silence. Tonight, the Rockies head coach is openly admitting that he deeply regrets underestimating Shohei Ohtani, and the baseball world cannot stop talking about what they witnessed. When the Dodgers arrived at the stadium for their series against the Colorado Rockies, the mood inside the visiting clubhouse was focused and determined. Ohtani had been on an incredible run of form, and the entire baseball world had its eyes fixed on every single at-bat he stepped into. The Rockies coaching staff had spent considerable time studying Ohtani's recent performances, analyzing his swing patterns, his timing, and his approach at the plate. Before the game, sources inside the Rockies organization revealed that the coaching staff had held a lengthy meeting specifically dedicated to developing a strategy to keep Ohtani in check. The Rockies coaches believed that they had identified weaknesses in Ohtani's approach and that their pitching staff was fully prepared to exploit those weaknesses and limit the damage he could do. The Rockies head coach spoke to reporters before the game with a confidence that, in hindsight, would come back to haunt him. He said that his team had done its homework and that they were not going to let Ohtani beat them the way he had beaten so many other teams this season. He said his pitchers knew exactly what they needed to do and that he was fully confident in their ability to execute the plan they had prepared. Those words would end up being remembered by everyone who heard them once the game got underway and Ohtani began doing what he does better than almost anyone else on the planet. From the very first inning, it was clear that Ohtani was locked in at a level that very few players ever reach. His focus at the plate was immediately noticeable to everyone watching, and the Rockies pitchers could sense from the very beginning that their carefully constructed game plan was going to be tested in ways they had not fully anticipated. Ohtani worked each at-bat with patience and precision, fouling off pitches that would have gotten lesser hitters out and waiting for exactly the right moment to unleash the full power of his extraordinary swing. When that moment finally arrived, the result was absolutely breathtaking. The Rockies pitcher delivered a pitch that was supposed to be precisely where the coaching staff had instructed, the kind of pitch that their analysis had suggested would give Ohtani the most trouble. But Ohtani read it immediately, made a split-second adjustment that spoke to the extraordinary baseball intelligence he possesses, and drove the ball with devastating force into the outfield stands. The crowd erupted as the ball sailed deep and true, and Ohtani stood at home plate for just a brief moment, watching it go, before beginning his home run trot around the bases. But it was what happened next that made this moment truly unforgettable. As Ohtani rounded second base and made his way toward third, he did something that nobody had expected. Instead of maintaining the calm, composed expression that has become his trademark in big moments, Ohtani turned toward the Rockies' dugout with a look that said everything without saying a single word. It was not disrespectful. It was not showboating in any traditional sense. It was something far more powerful and far more meaningful than any gesture or celebration could ever be. Ohtani locked eyes briefly with the Rockies coaching staff and gave a slow, respectful nod that communicated something that words could never fully capture. It was the nod of a man who had heard every word of doubt that had been spoken about him and had chosen to answer every single one of those doubts in the most eloquent way possible, by performing at the highest level when the pressure was at its greatest. The entire stadium seemed to understand the significance of that moment in an instant. The Dodgers dugout went absolutely wild. Players were on their feet, pointing toward Ohtani and shouting with pure joy and admiration. Freddie Freeman, who has seen more than his share of extraordinary baseball moments throughout his legendary career, later told reporters that what he witnessed from Ohtani in that moment was one of the most powerful things he had ever seen on a baseball field. Freeman said that the nod Ohtani gave toward the Rockies' dugout was not an act of arrogance but rather a quiet, dignified statement from a man who had been doubted and had chosen to respond with brilliance rather than words. Freeman added that the entire Dodgers team had been aware of the comments coming from the Rockies coaching staff before the game. He said that when you hear people say they have found a way to stop one of your teammates, especially a teammate of Ohtani's caliber and dedication, it motivates everyone in the clubhouse. Freeman said that Ohtani never once mentioned the Rockies coach's comments in the clubhouse but that everyone knew he had heard them. And the way he responded on the field, with that home run and that unforgettable moment after it, was exactly the kind of response that made his teammates love and respect him even more. Mookie Betts spoke to reporters after the game and described the atmosphere in the Dodgers dugout when Ohtani hit that home run. Betts said that the energy was unlike anything he had felt all season. He said everyone in that dugout knew what the Rockies had been saying before the game, and watching Ohtani answer those words with that home run and that quiet, powerful gesture was something that sent chills through every single person wearing a Dodgers uniform. Betts said that moments like that are exactly why Ohtani is considered by so many people to be the greatest baseball player on the planet right now, because he never needs to say a word to make his point absolutely clear. The Rockies' dugout, by contrast, was completely silent in the moments after Ohtani crossed home plate. Players stood motionless. Coaches exchanged glances that said everything. The carefully constructed game plan that had been built over days of analysis and preparation had been dismantled in a single magnificent swing. The coaching staff that had come into the game with confidence and certainty was now grappling with the humbling reality that Shohei Ohtani had once again proven that no plan, no strategy, and no amount of preparation can fully account for what he is capable of doing on a baseball field. After the game, the Rockies head coach faced reporters with a demeanor that was starkly different from the confident figure who had spoken before the first pitch. He sat quietly for a moment before addressing the room, and when he finally spoke, his words were honest and direct. He said that he regretted making the comments he had made before the game about having a plan to stop Ohtani. He said that in his career he had faced many great players and had always respected the challenge they presented, but that tonight he had made the mistake of speaking with too much confidence before the game had even begun. He said Ohtani had reminded him and everyone in his organization of something that should never be forgotten, which is that there are certain players who operate at a level that simply cannot be fully prepared for, no matter how much time and effort you invest in trying. The Rockies coach went further and said that the moment after the home run, when Ohtani gave that quiet nod toward the dugout, was something he would personally never forget. He said it was not disrespectful in any way. He said it was actually one of the most respectful things a player had ever done in a situation like that, because Ohtani had chosen to let his performance speak rather than his words. The coach said that if he were completely honest, he felt a deep sense of admiration for Ohtani in that moment, even as his own team was on the receiving end of it. Manager Dave Roberts addressed the media after the game with a wide smile that reflected the mood of the entire Dodgers organization. Roberts said that what Ohtani had done tonight was a perfect example of the kind of player and person he is every single day. He said that Ohtani never responds to outside noise with words and that he never gets distracted by what other people say about him or think about him. Roberts said that Ohtani's only response to any kind of doubt or criticism is to go out onto the field and perform, and that tonight he had done exactly that in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. Shohei Ohtani, as always, kept his public response brief and humble. He thanked his teammates for their support and said that every game is an opportunity to give everything he has for the team. He said he was happy with the result and that he was already looking forward to the next game and the next opportunity to help the Dodgers win. The baseball world is still talking about that moment. The nod that said everything. The home run that silenced every doubt. And a Rockies coaching staff that learned a lesson tonight that they will carry with them for the rest of their careers. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting and up-to-date information.